Optimist Youth Homes, something akin to a juvenile detention facility. I land here after a series of traumatic life events caused me to leave a career in broadcasting and enter into that of teaching. It is here that I meet Anthony, a 16-year-old boy on trial for an alleged gang shooting where one individual died. He's tall, very tall. His stature towers over my 5'1" body, and his eyes are icy. He's aggressive, direct. The presumed power of an assumed teacher has no play here. I literally have no voice, no confidence, and no experience in teaching. I'm just some girl with different colored skin from his in a foreign city at a school that could have been another universe. He knows this, and I know this. In Anthony's world, I have no navigational capacity, no skills. In my world, he struggles to find his purpose, his place, and tools to achieve these. Ultimately, though, I can understand myself and Anthony in relation to each other as people. This comes naturally, the natural human connection, because Anthony is more than a student and I am more than a teacher. My vulnerability produced by recent life events extends a branch of understanding to Anthony in his vulnerability about his life's trajectory. Still, it's incumbent on me to understand myself separately from Anthony before I can form an authentic, genuine connection. Every day I listen and Anthony talks. I learn that even though the beach is a half-hour away, he's never been. I learn that he has to sell drugs in order to support his family. I learn that at 16, Anthony is illiterate, and worse, I learn this is common. Never once, though, in our one-sided conversations, do I find myself consciously, perhaps unconsciously, judging Anthony. I simply have love and compassion for this kid. His resilience ignited my passion to become a teacher. His enduring strength became my lifeboat in overcoming my struggles at the time. In working with Anthony, I take away so many truths, but there's one fundamental concept that has remained centered and solid in over 20 years of teaching, and that is this: teaching is relational, not transactional. So simple in its semantics, yet possibly so profound in its power, I will say it again. Teaching must be relational. It cannot be transactional. We as teachers must be willing to change as much as we wish to develop our students. We as teachers must be willing to be changed as much as we wish to develop our students. In listening to Anthony, I understood that he empowered himself within the worlds that he existed. As his instructor, I could equip him with ways of thinking to apply to the world he existed within. In understanding ourselves relationally to our students, we become coaches in the classroom, facilitators of learning, not managers of content delivery, not gatekeepers of access for those of whom we believe are the deserved. Eventually, I leave Optimist Youth Homes, and I never see Anthony again. But the lessons that he taught me remain paramount to both my life and my life as an instructor. In finding my voice, I find myself in Harlem, New York, and it is here that I believe I find the elixir of teaching, the symbiotic connection between relational teaching and craft, nuance, detail, sweating the small stuff when it comes to building our lessons. If I had remained rooted in the idea that as teachers we are simply conduits of content delivery, I would have been extinct long before I started. Google and Yahoo can attest to that. And so instead, I connect and I teach and I teach and I connect, always finding my voice so I can ignite the voices of my students. Always bridging the gap between who they are and who I am so we can form an authentic, genuine connection. And so, how do we do it? How do we engage in effective and inspiring ways of connecting without sacrificing rigor and scholastic excellence? How do we, in such short amounts of time, get to know our students when there's such variance and unique identities in the classroom? Ultimately, these answers will come from our curriculum, but our expertise in our curriculum, our willingness to dig into the curriculum and pull out the strands that we believe will connect to our students. These answers will come from our inner respect desires to dig into our own metacognition, to find our weaknesses so they do not become our students' weaknesses, to find our strengths so we can fine-tune our craft, and these become the tools our students leverage in order to glean success. At times, we become frustrated with our students, as the teachers in the room know. This is only natural. And it can limit our ability to see potential. It cuts our students off from accessing success. It victimizes them. Simultaneously, perhaps more significantly, it stunts our ability to be important teachers. Let's be honest. It is so easy to challenge the students with whom we perceive to have potential. They reflect to us in our own worldview and in our own value what potential looks like. This allows us to justify passing over very capable students because they don't fit our narrow view of what potential looks like. Anthony changed that for me. He was my first ever student. Anthony's life had taken some difficult turns without a doubt, but he wasn't done writing. He didn't believe his story was over. Though, so long as the educational, judicial, social, economic, legal systems demonized Anthony, they would cut his story short. And just as long as those said institutions victimized Anthony, they would limit his ability to see his own potential. As instructors, we too victimize our students. One, by lowering the academic bar because we do not believe our students can achieve it. One, by lowering the academic bar because we do not believe our students can achieve it. Two, consciously or unconsciously believing ourselves to be superior to our students. And when we victimize a student, we lose so much real life experience they have accumulated that can contribute to who they are as learners and how they learn. Anthony isn't the only one with the story. When I come to Calgary, I'm introduced to a whole new set of journeys and experiences on a global scale. On one of those days, I meet Ivan. He was captured and tortured in a Syrian prison for months on end before his well-known family could bribe for his release. I learned that Marcos, when he's 11 years old, is walking the streets of El Salvador with his sister, and they're kidnapped by a well-known gang. Eventually, they are released and they discover that their parents have undergone a divorce. And it is the divorce that he talks about as the turning point of his life. I learned that Sadafii, a beautiful Yemeni woman, escapes a horribly abusive husband, and she lands in Canada with 2 small babies not a word of English, and not a dime in her pocket. And I'm challenged and I'm so humbled by how these experiences inform who my learners are and do not limit them. When my students enter my classroom, I make it my business to get to know who they are. I make it their business to get to know me, and not so that we can chit-chat friendly over a cup of coffee. But I need them, I want them to trust me with their academics, to believe that I believe in their potential so that I can stretch them in their academic capacity. When I meet with my students, I make it my business to get to know each other, opening both of us up to vulnerability, opening both of us up to risk, and opening both of us up to opportunity. Because without the relationship, we opt out of the greatest learning experience for all, that which engages the individual, but closer to my heart, that which engages our humanity. Thank you.